Join me in this journey as we try to better understand aggression. We will try to uncover its roots, trace its emergence, and unveil its cure. I'm Leonard Jason, a community psychologist at DePaul University. It seems like violence is everywhere, whether it's mass shootings or terrorism. Where does this violence come from? I'm going to probe into our distant past to try to uncover the roots of aggression and figure out what can be done about it. We have inherited instincts that are both aggressive and cooperative. Let's look for the genetic roots of this in our closest animal relative, chimpanzees. They can be cooperative and kind, but also aggressive and violent as they fiercely fight for territory and systematically kill members of other groups. We have inherited these instincts, and both aggression and cooperation can be seen throughout our history. Within our genes, we have the potential for the expression of abusive expressions of power and violence, as well as cooperation and caring. I believe that high levels of aggression can occur when forces that control and regulate this violence breaks down, and we are now going to explore those forces. About 10,000 years ago, our species changed from being hunter-gatherers to domesticating animals and farming the land. By securing a more stable food supply, cities emerged that provided us with enormous benefits. But there also was a choice point to either continue to sanctify and appreciate our connections to the natural world, or to repudiate and sever this connection. If we think we need to dominate and control a world seen as dangerous and in need of taming, this introduces a lack of balance with the natural world, which introduces a breakdown in a regulatory factor, inhibiting the expression of violence and aggression. The scientific revolution led to many wonderful advances in medicine and other areas. For example, our planet was no longer seen as the center of the universe, and we had descended from chimpanzees. But this revolution ushered in another choice point. We could use these discoveries to solidify our appreciation with the natural world, or we could believe that our universe is just filled with dead matter, ruled by the laws of mathematics and physics, with old religions, past rituals, and myths just considered superstitions with no meaning. Such a conclusion could strip away reasons for living, which could also undermine social controls that moderate aggressive instinctual forces within us. The Industrial Revolution began in the early 1800s, spurred on by advances in the scientific revolution. Slowly, there was less need for the vast majority of humans to toil on the land, as mechanization allowed for tremendous advances in food production and time for improvements in the quality of life. But as people moved to cities, for some, their former connections to a rich web of life that encompassed family and community may have begun to erode. Here is another choice point: to stay connected to family and friends in somewhat impersonal cities, or live with few connections to the community. Aggression is more likely to occur for those who are feeling alienated and isolated, with few networks other than those in an ever-intoxicating internet world. If we choose to control and dominate the forces of nature, to undermine cultural and religious belief systems, and to sever ties with family, friends, and community, there is a potential for losing the protection of social and cultural support systems that have successfully regulated expressions of violence and aggression. It is true that the percentage of deaths in the total population due to violent conflicts are at historical lows, but the actual number of deaths has increased. While rates of physical violence are less, there are other forms of violence that need to be considered, including mass incarcerations, inequality, poverty, and racism. Climate change and the extermination of so many animal species is not just an innocent and unintended consequence of a growing world population and economic expansion. If violence is defined as physical force intended to hurt or kill someone, our planet has certainly been severely injured by our actions. Violence can be interrupted by our interventions, but we need to dig deeper, just as an archaeologist, in trying to understand the customs, norms, and values of individuals within contexts which have been influenced by different historical eras. Breakdowns of social and regulatory mechanisms, as well as educational and economic inequalities, have contributed to many of the symptoms of violence that we continue to witness. Interventions that reduce violence and promote social justice are better understood when examining whether we are trying to live in balance with or trying to inappropriately control nature, whether we see scientific advances in knowledge as bringing meaning or invalidating our sense of coherence, and whether our social settings promote social isolation or a richer sense of community. Social change agents who hope to reduce violence and create meaningful, lasting change need to think in deeper ways to combat social problems, to address power abuse, and to optimize wellness and a sense of community. A reference is on the screen for a more detailed and technical presentation. Thank you for listening.